Hello everyone, I'm here today to do another video on my backlisted series. So basically, I want to highlight backlisted books because I think that sometimes BookTube gets to wind up in the new releases, and I just want to hype books that I have read that are not new releases. And this one in particular, it's going to be about the 80s, which is especially nice for me because I was born in the 80s. So some of these books actually came out when I was born, so that's cool, right? But yeah, let's just get into the books, and they're going to be from 1980 to 1989. So the first one I have the second book, not the first one, but we're going to hold this as a prompt. Is the Nervous Condition book. So Nervous Conditions by Tsitsi Dangarembga came out in 1988, and then she has this one, which is the Book of Not, which is the second one, and the Nervous Conditions one that came out last year. So this series spans a long time, but Nervous Conditions came out in 1988, and it's a Zimbabwean book about this young girl, Tambudzai, and the first one we see her struggle to go to school, and how ambitious and how driven she is. And throughout the rest of the books, we see how society crushes those expectations, I guess. But yeah, the Nervous Conditions book is the one I'm recommending now. It's dense, so don't go through thinking that it's gonna be easy, even though it's short. But it's totally worth it. So yeah, that one is my recommendation. The second one I wanted to highlight is Galapagos by Keri Hulme, which was published in 1985. And Galapagos is a very strange book, as all of Keri Hulme is, I think. But in this one, there are several people that are trapped in a cruise to the Galapagos Island, and strange things start to happen, and we see the worst of humanity. And personally, this one I like better than Slaughterhouse-Five, so I would recommend if you want to read Keri Hulme. I also think it was a little bit more approachable. That's my second recommendation. The third book that I have in my list is The Color Purple by Alice Walker, which was published in 1982. And The Color Purple is a story told in letters, a epistolary novel about this woman that, as a young girl, is kind of sold by her dad, and she goes through so much hardship throughout all her life, of abuse, of people not taking her into account. She's a black woman, so she was treated almost like a slave. But despite everything, she's able to find herself and find her joy within the life that she was building. And I think it's beautiful. And yeah, I think I found the middle a little bit slower to get through, but overall I really love this one. The next one I have is The Innocent Anthropologist by Barley, and this was published in 1983. I have the Spanish version, but there's an English version, of course. And this is quite a funny non-fiction about this man that is an anthropologist. So, as all anthropologists, he has to do like a year somewhere studying some tribe of people. So he decides to go. It's in Africa. I think it's like near Cameroon or something. But yeah, he goes to study this small tribe in Africa, and the way that he writes about them is like they have this perfectly functional society, and he comes like a stupid tourist that we have nowadays, looking at them and trying to think how exotic they are, where otherwise the local people just found him kind of weird, and like his things don't make sense. And I really enjoy the sarcastic humor on this And yeah, it's a really good one. The next book I have for you is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, which was published in 1984. And this is a very short, snappy book about the experience of a young girl growing up in America as a Latina. It's very short, it's a very fast read, but it is very enjoyable and it is very easy to read. So if you're more on the young adult kind of thing, this might still be good for you. The next one I have is Asada by Assata Shakur, that was published in 1989. And this is a memoir of Asada, who was an activist in the Black Panther movement in the US, and that was wrongfully imprisoned. And yeah, how that went basically. So yeah, it's a very interesting one. She's a very powerful voice, and I think it is one that is worth reading, especially if you're interested in the Black Panther movement and the fight for civil rights that is still going on in the U.S. with the Black Lives Matter protest and all of these things. So yeah. The next one I have it's The Whale Rider by Witi Ihimaera, something like that. I'm sorry for butchering names. And that was published in 1987. This one is also a very short book of this young girl in New Zealand, I think, that whose father is not always there and she's struggling to fit in the society because she wants to be a whale rider, but only the boys are allowed to be whale riders in this Maori community, and she wants to be one and wants to do all the dances that the boys do and all of that stuff. And it is a very sweet story. I have to say, probably I like the movie better, but still the book is worth a try, and the story is just very beautiful and heartwarming, and it teaches so much about so many things that I think it's really worth a try. Um, the next one I have is one that I cannot believe it was written in the 80s, but it's the Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follet and was written in 1989. I remember reading this as a teenager and I read it again recently. And I mean, it's not the best book ever written, but it is a really compelling, really good book, I think. It is a chunker, but I read it really fast. Both times I've read it, and it's about this family in the Middle Ages. I would say it was, I think, 1400s or something like that. And the father of the family is a builder, and he builds the cathedral of this town in England, and he is somehow getting involved in the politics of the village, and the bishop of that, not the bishop, the prior of that chapel, whatever name, religion, I don't understand. But yeah, the head of the church there that is building the cathedral, it's a very moral man and he wants to do the right thing, but in that time the courts and the intrigues and everything were not about doing the right thing, so he has a lot of issues and we follow all of that, and it's very compelling. It's really, really compelling. So if it's one of those books that if you're in a slump, it's a good one to pick. Even though it looks huge, it is going to get you into the story. The next one I have is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, which was published in 1989. And this one is, again, a slightly weird one for me to pick because when I was reading it, I thought it was really slow, but the more I think about it, the more I appreciate it. And The Remains of the Day is about this man that is a butler in the UK, and he gets a new master that is from America, and he's not happy because the American man doesn't know all the etiquette of the class system in the UK, and it's really about nothing, but it's like all the reflections of this butler, and it's the most British thing I probably have ever read, and I love it for that. And the last one I have is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco, which was published in 1980. And this one is it is a really fun one. I read it when I was a teenager, so I don't have all the details on my head anymore. But it was this literary fiction, but mystery and like clues kind of book. It's about this man in an abbey in Italy that realizes that there are many people being killed, and he's trying to figure out why and how and all these things. It's a little bit like the Da Vinci Code, but well written. It's really cool. I really liked it. And yeah, those are all my recommendations from the 80s. Then I also want to talk to you about a book from the 80s that I want to read, and that is The Bone People by Keri Hulme, which was published in 1984 and actually won the Booker on that year. And I don't know too much about it, but it sounds good. It's about the Maori community in New Zealand, and it just sounds good, and I want to read it. So when my library opens again, that's another one that I will be on the hunt for. But yeah, those are all my books. Let me know if you have any thoughts about any of them. Let me know if you have a favorite book from the 80s. I would love to know. And until next video, bye!